everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to tie a Kenny Abrames fly pattern, and this is going to be the Eel Punt. So the first line of the passage, it says, "There have been more large stripers caught on eels than any other type of bait." Yeah, a lot of people use lug and rag worm in the UK, so this is going to be a bit more of a silhouetted type because I'm going to do it in black. So the hook and the vise is an Ahrex SA 220 streamer in a size 2. I've lightly waxed my thread, which is a GSP style 50 denier. I'll come in with some black bucktail, and it's quite hard to find good black bucktail, so I'm not going to use a lot. Use half a dozen strands maybe. I'm just going to be opposite the barb of the hook. I'm just going to tie that on top of the shank. Just tie down half a dozen wraps or so, and then come in with a blob of super glue. There we go. And with following on from the previous flat-wing, I'm going to come in with a support. This is just a natural black. A natural black cape, cock neck I think it is. I couldn't find my dyed one, so I've just got a natural one, but it'll still be fine. So I'm going to trim off all the crap that you don't need, all the marabou stuff at the bottom. I'm going to tie that in. It's concave facing up, same as the last one, if you watched my last one. And just slowly out, there we go. Happy days. Then we're going to trim off that bit of excess, because we don't need that. Next we're going to come in with our Ewing flat-wing. This is just a saltwater pack in black, I think. Could be a half cape, I'm not sure, can't remember what I even ordered. I've got so much of it. And we're going to do 3 feathers on this, come back to about here, so I don't want the first one to be too long. So I'm just going to pick a nice short one. There we go. I'm just going to offer it up at the back of the hook. Now there's quite a lot of marabou stuff on this, but we're going to use that. So I'm just going to bring this one to just where the bucktail is, I think. And I'm going to create a pillow for that feather to sit on. So I'm just going to trim off some of the marabou, and I'm going to wax my thread up. I've got some dubbing wax actually. Use me dubbing wax. Might stick a little bit better. That's just the Vineyards dubbing wax, there's nothing special. So I'm going to dub the marabou bits on. Doesn't have to be too neat, but then offer it up to the hook. Just give it 1 or 2 wraps over. 2, there we go, we've done 3. There we go. So then I'm going to take off all this marabou, and then offer the flat wing up to the hook. Just going to trim the stem, just so there's like an inch left over. There we go. And then just do a couple of wraps over that stem and make sure you're happy with it. Now if you look at that, I'm not happy with that because it's not sat flat, and we want it to be sat as flat as possible. It's not behaving itself. There we go, that's a bit better. If it doesn't sit flat, I won't worry about it too much because the next feather's going to sit flat over it as well, so that'll help keep it down a bit. So the next feather then is just going to be a little bit longer and sit just over the back of that one. Let's just find a nice one. There we go. So again, get rid of all the marabou and trim off whatever you don't need. Now this time I'm just going to tidy a few things up here. I'm just going to add a drop of UV resin onto the feather. This is cheating, but it ends up with a nicer fly. So I'm just going to brush all the fibres down and come up to just the base of the stem where the fibres start to come out of the stem. Just add a little drop of UV resin. Just work it down with my thumb a little bit and set it. And this is just going to help everything stay nicely on top of the hook shank and not get twisted. There we go. Perfect. So again, trim off the excess. I'm going to come in with our last flat wing. I'm going to put a bit of glue down there. Now I want this last feather to be quite long, looking at the proportions of it, so I'm probably going to come over to where the handle is, about there, and I like to use these little reference points on my vise for when I'm tying, because if I'm tying a batch then I know the first one needs to go to the spring, the second one needs to go to where the stem is, then the third one needs to go to where the handle is, and it's just when you're tying a few, if you like all your flies looking the same, it's nice to have little reference points on your vise. So last one, same again, strip out all of the crap that you don't need and trim off the stem. I'm going to do the same thing again with the UV resin. Set that. And just offer it just over the top. And it's quite long, that, isn't it? Yep. And just try again. Happens to the best of us. Right, so there we go. That looks a little bit better. Completely misjudged that. There we go. Perfect. Just give it a couple of wraps, tie it down, nice and neat. So we've got 1, 2, 3, happy. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is going to come in with some flash. You can use any colour flash you want for this now. All depends on how you want it to look. I think I've got some black somewhere in here. I might not have. Yeah, I have, yeah. I'm just going to come in with some black Crafty Crafty Flash. It's more for a bit more movement more than anything else. But this is a nighttime fly. This is for when I'm fishing last thing at night, just as the sun's going down. Little bit of a silhouette, no, sorry, a nice big silhouette is what I want. So I've got 3 strands. Use anywhere between 4 and 6. I've just got 3, but I'm going to double it over anyway. So just tie it in halfway and then fold it all back. Let's do a couple of wraps down. There we go. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in a feather, because the feather's going to be the body. It's not like a standard flat wing like the other ones are. This is going to be nice. I like that one. And if there's another one the same, that'll be also good. There we go. So I've got 2 feathers, quite long. I'm going to tie them in at the tips. So I'm going to try and make sure that the concave side down both sides. And you can normally tell with dyed stuff because one side's shiny and one side is very dull. So normally it's a dead giveaway. So I'm going to just bring both of the stroke all them fibres back, and you can see where the taper, where it starts to go short this side and long that side, and that's what we're looking for. So I don't want it to be massive, but that looks pretty good. So if we just tie it in about halfway down, and that should give us enough taper to work with, I think. There we go. So just split the fibres, make like a V shape, and just sort of do 3 to 4 thread wraps, and trim off this excess. But keep that because you can make smaller ones if you want to make smaller eel patterns. That's fine. So we're going to come in with a little bit more flash. You can make the body any colour. You can make it purple, bronze, gold. I'm just sticking with a full blackout theme on this one. I'm going to come in with a handful of flash strands. I'm going to tie this in. And then work my thread all the way forward to the eye. So I've got my flash, and I'm just going to start twisting it to make like a rope, and then I'll start whipping it forward. You may need to twist as you go. I'm just making sure that you do like touch and turn so there's none of the white thread shows through. That's it. And then just tie that off like that, and snip off the excess. And we're going to come in with, oh, I've missed some. Oh, that's the back stuff. That got a bit tangled. So then we're going to come in with the feathers, which have seemed to have twisted a little bit, so I'm going to try and tease them back that way. Oh, it's doing my head in now. Nothing ever goes right when you try to video something for the first time. Right, let's try again. Tease them back that way. There we go. Tease everything back. Doesn't have to be too perfect, because you're going to brush it out anyway. And then every sort of wrap, just brush the fibres back and it'll help them stay in sort of position. There we go. Last one. Perfect. So we're just going to come over the top of that a couple of times, and then in front, and then just snip off the excess. Perfect. I'm going to come in with our dubbing needle, just try and tease any fibres out that have got wrapped among themselves. There we go. And I'm just going to build a little, not massive, just a little head. So we're going to colour in that head anyway. There we go. And get the marker. You can use black thread if you need to. I just had white on my spool, so it's the most commonly used. So then tidy that up with a bit of varnish or UV resin. And as that gets wet, that'll all sink back and give a nice eel effect. And that's as simple as that. Very simple, very effective eel style bass fly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.